Hey guys, David here. Firstly, welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you for clicking that subscribe button, it means a lot to me. Two of my most popular videos posted in the last couple of weeks have been about Zwift, the indoor training sensation. I did one about rocker plates and another about Zwift, the outdoors recreation. And you can see both of those videos in the description below where I put some links, but wait until you watch this video before you go and click those links. I've had quite a few questions about my setup, what trainer I'm using, what bike I'm using, what gearing I'm using, so I thought I'd do a little video showing you my setup. Now, the beauty of indoor training is that everybody has a different setup, based on what equipment you're using and what space you have available. So I thought it'd be interesting just to talk you through what I've been using for my Zwift sessions for the last couple of years. I'm not saying my setup is the best, it's just my way of doing it. You might take a few lessons away from my setup, you might think I'm doing a few things wrong. So if you've got any questions or feedback, put them in the comment section below. We'll have a bit of debate after the video. It's always interesting to hear your thoughts and feedback on Zwift. And if you've got any setups you're really proud of, do let me know as well, as I'd love to hear those. The most important piece of kit you need, apart from your bike obviously, is a trainer. There are many different types of trainer in the market, different price points, wheel on and wheel off trainers. I've been using the Wahoo Kicker since it first came out. I'm now on the latest generation 3 trainer. And what I like about this trainer over the last few years is how stable it is. The all metal construction means it's really rock solid, stable when you're out of the saddle and doing those sprints and climbing up outdoors. It's also really accurate. I've tested it against other power meters and it really delivers accurate power figures every time I use it. And it's consistent, so every time I get on it, I know I'm doing the watts I should be doing. It's also easier to set up. It's compatible with different wheel sizes. You can adjust a slider on the bottom. I've had gravel bikes on here and mountain bikes and it all works really well. It's also pretty quiet. I don't have to worry about disrupting my neighbour's peace so much, but if you do live in an environment where you have to worry about noise, then it's a pretty quiet trainer. Probably not the quietest on the market, but once I've got my music going, my fan going, the noise isn't really that much of a concern. While I'm down here, I'll just draw your attention to this training mat. Now, you don't really need a training mat, it's a bit of a luxury, but as you can see from some of the marks on the trainer mat, it does protect your floor and it stops you from getting in trouble with your other half, so that's a good thing. You could use a piece of old carpet or newspaper or something instead, but no, it's a bit of a lavish expense. But if you are looking for the ultimate setup, then a training mat is a good idea. You can roll it up and put it away and just keeps the floor in a good condition. And it also dampens the noise a little bit. So if you're in a flat and you're worried about your neighbours below, it'll just kind of reduce some of that noise and vibration a little bit. So that's a good thing to have as well. Right, the next piece of equipment is really essential, just over here. So indoor training, you're obviously going to get pretty hot. You don't have that airflow over you like you do outside, so you need a big, great fan. I've gone for a floor-mounted angle adjustment fan I got from an office store somewhere. There are different types. You can get small ones that will go higher up, but I like this one because it kicks out a load of air. I'll just show you. Got a couple of settings on the back. And it's pretty noisy. While I got it going, it does kick out quite a bit of noise, so I turn the music out really loud, but this definitely drowns out the trainer when I'm going at full speed, but it's essential to make sure I don't overheat when I'm doing these workout sessions on Zwift. Of course, the most essential piece of equipment, apart from the trainer, is of course the bike. Now you can use any bike, of course. I'm using a Candao Synapse because I've been testing this for the last couple of months and the bike works really well. With this Wahoo Kicker, I can use any bike though, and I've used mountain bikes, I've used one bike, gravel bikes, cross bikes, rim brake bikes, they all work really well. So most trainers now are compatible with the wide range of bikes available. So whatever bike you've got, there'll be a trainer that works with it. And most trainers are adaptable to work with different configurations of axle dropouts and so on. A few people ask about what gearing I'm using. I'm using a compact 50-34 chain set on the front. And on the back, I've got an 1126 cassette. I did have an 1130 on the back, but the 1126, which came with the trainer, works really well. You can change how much of the cassette and gear range you need to use in Zwift by changing the realism setting. By default, it's at 50%, and you can change that to decide how much of the cassette range you want to use when you're in Zwift. I leave it on a default setting, and it provides a very realistic setting in terms of how much of the gear range I'm using, the big ring for flatter roads, the small ring for the climbs, and I haven't found myself running out of gears even on the steeper slopes of the epic KOM of Zwift, so that works well for me. But if you are struggling with the gear range, you find yourself running out of gears or not using the whole range of cassette, then that slider scale could be worth looking at. And I'll put a link to a good video about that slider setting in the description below if you want to find out a bit more about that. The other piece of equipment that's not in shot at the moment is a towel. I have a towel draped over the handlebar and the stem just to make sure the sweat doesn't drown the bike. And it's also useful to have a towel to mop your brow and when you're sweating and stuff. I don't sweat too much when I'm doing an indoor training session. I know some people do sweat quite a lot. You can get more elaborate devices for catching the sweat, the things that go from the seat tube to the handlebar stem. But to be honest, a towel works really well. Just get an old towel and use that, and just put in the wash after you're done. That works really well for me. The really essential piece of equipment you're going to need is something to play Zwift on. It's now compatible with most iOS and Android phones, tablets like this iPad, and of course computers. There are certain hardware requirements for computers, but I've had it playing on a 2015 MacBook Pro just fine, and that's the computer I normally use for doing Zwift sessions on. But I've been using a tablet more recently just because it's easier, the battery lasts a bit longer, and it just works really well. Because I've been using Zwift quite a lot this winter, we've had a really cold and wet winter, and sometimes facing a wet ride, even with the latest winterproof clothing, just isn't that appealing, so Zwift has been used a lot more. I've been plugging the tablet and laptop into a big TV, you can just see behind me up there. So I've had this old TV, I think it's 26 inches wide, in a spare room for about a year since we bought a new TV for a living room, and I didn't throw it away because it still works, and I've used it for Zwifting. So it makes it more immersive. I've got a big screen in front of me, and just makes the whole Zwift experience just a bit more enjoyable, really. So I definitely recommend having a bigger screen as possible in front of you. As well as making it more immersive, you can see the letters and numbers more easier. You can see what power you're doing, what your heart rate is, and what the other riders around you are doing as well. So it just makes it a little bit easier, especially if you've got rubbish eyesight like me. So if you've got an old TV knocking around, plug it into your laptop or tablet with any lead you need to use to do that, and see how it goes. Another piece of equipment I consider essential is a Bluetooth speaker. So you need some music to listen to, or a podcast, or the radio, and just having some music really helps time go by a little bit easier. And having high tempo music really helps you kind of get into a groove and a rhythm a little bit more. So a Bluetooth speaker is a really good choice. Now, I don't have to worry about noise because I use a dedicated space, the conservatory. But if you do have to worry about the neighbours and your family, then a set of Bluetooth headphones might be a better option. But for me, a Bluetooth speaker is an essential piece of equipment for Zwifting. So I use other brands are available, of course. I hope this video has been useful. A little tour of my indoor training setup with a trainer and a bike, and another piece of equipment that I consider essential to doing a Zwift indoor training session. The other thing I would consider is very useful, although not critical, is having a space where you can have a dedicated kind of training area. So I'm in the conservatory, which is an ideal space for me to have this bike set up permanently through the winter. So I have it set up on a trainer with a training mat and a fan, everything ready to go. So all I have to do is put my Leica on, put my shoes on, fill my bottles, jump on the bike, and I'm ready to go. It doesn't take much to build the bike up and take the wheel out and so on, but having it set up ready to go just makes it a little bit easier when you're dragging yourself out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. You're just not really feeling that motivated. Just having it set up is one less obstacle between you and getting on Zwift. So that's something I consider essential personally for ensuring I get more out of my my training time. I'm more likely to get on the bike because it's ready to go, and I've got no excuses really. So if you have a space where you can set it up, whether it's in the conservatory, in your living room, spare room, or garage, I really consider that critical to helping you get more Zwifting done. But if you don't have the space, the luxury, then most trainers are easy to set up within a couple of minutes, so it's no great hardship if you do have to set up before every Zwift session. Okay, thanks for watching guys. If you've got any questions, do let me know in the comment section below, and do feel free to share your own setup in the comment section as well. Be interested to see what equipment you guys are using. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.